I have no idea what she's been doing, but anybody who talks about eating people and then says, y'all were thinking it, I just want to do it, or unaliving people, someone who says they poisoned their spouse doesn't belong on this app, doesn't belong on the internet, and belongs in prison. That is a sick fucking individual. I made the mistake of thinking that these people were standing up for me when the anti-side... I made the mistake of thinking that Gypsy's friends were sticking up for me when the anti-side was attacking me, but as soon as I made another video about Gypsy, they all got pissed off. They thought by sticking up for me that they were going to, and they called me on their panel to ask me questions, and I went up there, and once they tried to get Gypsy on the panel with me, and I said, fuck you, I will never, ever be on a live with Gypsy. The only way that I'm having a conversation with that piece of shit is if I'm doing an interview and asking the questions that I want to ask, and this is not the place, let me tell you. It will be highly publicized. I will be in a public area where people can see if anything bad happens to me, because like I said, she is building a cult. She is responsible for murdering her mother. She is a pedophile. I want nothing to do with anybody like that. Nothing. But they only stood up for me because they thought that it would shut me up. So here's the play. Listen to this and see if this resonates a little bit here, okay? The anti-Gypsy creators, the very ones that are with Gypsy Rose, I mean, Mimi's been talking to Gypsy for like 2 years, started shit about my brother being murdered so that Gypsy's friends could swoop in and clean it up. The only person who had the recording of this when it started, when Keish did the very first live talking about how my brother wasn't my brother and I was a liar, the only person who had it was a member of Gypsy Rose's cult. They're the only person who caught that? Interesting. Real interesting, don't you think? Because it was a setup from the beginning. They sent them out to do this so that I would somehow join the dark side. Here's the thing. They were never going to get me over to Gypsy's side. Ever. Ever. Because I've seen the evidence. I've seen the proof. I've seen the facts. So, them trying to pretend to stand up for me was literally them trying to shut me up. Gypsy trying to shut me up. Allegedly. And for entertainment purposes. It was Gypsy sending people out to create this fucking drama, and they had nothing. They had nothing. I have done nothing wrong. So they had nothing on me to create this narrative or this drama that they were so low that they went after my fucking dead, murdered brother, saying that I was a liar and that he wasn't my brother, and even going far enough to contact my family and say, this girl's out here with the GoFundMe. There was no GoFundMe. Nobody ever asked for any money. In fact, some guy online tried to use it to scheme money and set up a GoFundMe, and I said, excuse me, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, we were friends. And I was like, who the fuck asked you to start a GoFundMe? What does you having to be friends with my brother have to do with his burial or funeral or whatever we decide to do? Which in the end, we decided to respect his wishes, and that did not go well because we ran out of time because they were still processing his remains. So it didn't go the way as planned. We ended up doing the next thing that he would have wanted, which was cremation. There was no funeral. There was no mom with the he originally wanted his body to be donated to science, and it just didn't. You had 5 days, and we didn't make the cutoff. So there was a guy online that had nothing to do with me, and these people didn't even know that, by the way, who was literally trying to start a GoFundMe for funeral costs, which was weird because my family, my parents, my sister had already paid for his cremation while this was happening. And I said to that guy, what the fuck are you doing? You're literally grifting off of my family's a very difficult moment in my family's life. You're literally using it to grift and get donations from people. I was like, take it down. And I reported it to GoFundMe. Not that these people knew that was going on. I'm only talking about it now because that's the only GoFundMe that existed. And when they were talking about a GoFundMe, that never happened. I never did that. Like I said, my family had already paid for it. And guess what? That guy was supposedly friends with my brother. His cousin is the one who took my brother's life. But we can't even figure out how to link that back to the court because they got the murderer. What the fuck do they care? right? But it's all very, very strange. But like I said, those people set that up. Gypsy Rose set all of that up. Now looking back, months later, almost a year later, I can see those puzzle pieces connecting. I can see them all laying into place. Knowing what I know now, knowing that Mimi has admitted to talking to Gypsy, knowing that when people are on Keisha's live and she just glazes over shit and it's like, yeah, right. And she's like basically sticking up for Gypsy, knowing everything I know now, I can see those puzzle pieces. Back then, in the middle of this emotional time, in the middle of my brother being murdered, back then, I didn't see all of it. And I was naive, and I was ignorant, and I didn't see it. But now, I can see how it leads directly back to Gypsy Rose. And if you don't know who I am by now, I'm Sweet as Honey. I'm the girl that Gypsy Rose fucking harassed, hashtagged, had her cult gaslight me into saying that she doesn't even know who you are, girl. Like she's anybody to know anybody. And finally cosplay me and say, if I end up with her mom, know where to look. And literally threaten my life. They also made cartoons of me, fake accounts of me, accounts to slander me. They made a whole account named Bambi May 6, which my main account on this app is Bambi May, to literally go out and bully people and then threaten me that they were going to call the FBI on me for pretending to be me. All of that was set up by Gypsy Rose. This is what she does. Send this to anybody you know. Send this to podcasts. Send this to talk shows. Send this anywhere you want. I'm not the only one. I'm not the first. I won't be the last. Look at what they did to Audrey. Not that she's my friend or anything, but look at what they have done to Audrey. Look at what they do to Nina. Look at how they accuse Lauren Cherie of being paid for by Gypsy. You can tell which creators are actually in this shit that's planned out and which aren't. Just follow the path. And there you'll be. Gypsy Rose is a manipulator, a gaslighter. She is not intelligent. She is calculated. When people say, oh, she's so intelligent for the way she did the murder and everything like that. No, she had lots of time and lots of research. We have the evidence of all of her Google searches. She was literally Google searching how to force your body to have girl children while making a video talking about how their children, all the girls, will fuck their daddy because he's the master of the household, and quote, the way it has to be. She's calculated. She maps it out. She has a cult to help her do just that. I'm Sweet as Honey. 1 and 1 does not equal 3. Have the day you deserve.